everyone. My name is Devin. I'm one of the three co-chairs for the YLYP program at NGO CSW New York, along with Saida and Sphera. And I'm also the program manager at NGO CSW New York. And after watching that really great film, we want to hear from the filmmakers, Ashley and Lea-Ann, about their experience and their inspiration in making the film. And then we'll have more of an open discussion with everyone because we want to hear from you all as well. So my first question to our lovely filmmakers, just a basic question to start with. Why did you make this film? What was the inspiration or the impetus behind it?
Yes. So first of all, I see so many familiar faces and I'm so excited. I love all of you. So we made this film when Lea-Ann and I were, so Lea-Ann, AKA Mom, we had a conversation. It was funny enough, like the year after I graduated from USC, and I was like out there hustling, writing, making stuff, but like never, stuff didn't seem to take off. And I'm like, I keep seeing all my male counterparts just soaring. And I can't seem to get anyone to take me seriously. They keep looking at me as a filmmaker who's a woman, #woman filmmaker. And I'm, trying. Wow, she's trying so hard. We're so proud of her for trying to be a filmmaker. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Because I had won all these awards and made all these great films. And I started to talk to my female colleagues, and not just above the line. That's what we call directors, writers, producers, below the line too. So women who are in the tech on set and in post-production and things, like all of us are like, wait a minute, there's a fraction of us here. We came out of film school and it was great. And then now we don't see anyone else who looks like us around us. And so I had this conversation with Mom, and she said, it sounds like a lot of the things you're going through is very similar to what I went through when I started my career. So we started making the film to figure out what was I going through. And then we branched out obviously beyond me, and the film just grew and grew as we met people and learned things. But it really, it was like I had to make the movie for myself. And I think a lot of filmmakers feel that way. Is like, I see a problem, I don't see a solution. Let's go figure it out.
Yes. And like you said, you started with your own story and then kind of branched out to other people like we saw in the film. How did you decide on who you were going to interview? Like, how did that kind of come about?
That kind of piggybacks off of what Ashley just talked about. When we discovered, you got to imagine, I'm not at heart a filmmaker. I actually run my own company. And when my daughter, who I thought I gave every opportunity to, who received paid internships, which is something we advocate for as well. No more hiring interns without paying them, right, ladies? So Ashley had a paid internship. She worked for ESPN. She was one of something like 300 people selected out of 10,000 applicants at ESPN to receive this coveted internship. So she had everything I thought she needed to succeed. And after leaving a 3-year master's degree program at one of the top film schools in the entire world, she pops out telling me that she's not finding jobs. Nobody's hiring her. When she walks on set, she's perceived as somebody else. She's perceived as the person who brought the food, is doing the hair and the makeup, or maybe an actress. Several times people thought she was the actress. So we started doing the research and trying to understand it. I was trying to do things logically. And since I have actually made a couple of films with Ashley in the past, I said, let's bring our cameras. Let's see if we can just create a small film, like maybe a 20-minute, we thought originally. Then as the research came, we discovered it was a beast. As many of you here understand, we did not, right? We didn't understand all the issues. We didn't understand why they were happening, why things were happening around us. And it just was illogical for me, who I have a tech background, was so illogical to me to realize my daughter, who had everything I thought she needed to succeed, did not. So we started interviewing.
I mean, let's just say, you're saying that, but at the time I was really like, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong?
Exactly.
Doesn't that feel like really like tough to go, wait, I did all the right stuff. Why am I not having the career I've been working so hard for?
And I thought, what was wrong with me as well? What did I do wrong? Maybe I should have done this, I should have done that. And we also had that conversation. Maybe you need to wear less makeup. Maybe you need to wear glasses. Maybe you need to put your hair up. Maybe you don't need to put your hair up. Maybe you need to wear pants, right? So we went through the whole thing. We even talked about earrings. Should they be dangling? And we started blaming ourselves. But as we went along and with our camera and Leah, imposter syndrome, part of it for sure. We started meeting people who knew about this topic, and we realized how big of a beast this is and decided to make it a feature film. We ended up with 100 hours of footage. We boiled it down to 60 minutes. And after following the stories of our characters, and it's truly investigative, we had to edit it in a story that made it entertaining. But every person that you see here, we followed. We followed the teen girls for 3 years. We followed the mother, Lily, for 3 years, from the time she found out she was pregnant through her negotiations with her employer about her job, even after she had the baby, to see what happened. Even though you saw just a few minutes of her, we followed her for 3 years. We also followed characters. So we went to the White House. We were invited to the White House. And you see the scene in Susan O'Malley. You'll love this part because this is what you fight for, right? Paid family leave. We wanted to do a story on that. So we notified the White House and there was a White House summit. We got invited. We were given full access with our cameras and our crew. And you see a small scene in there, but we were there for days. And it's a scene of President Obama talking. From there, we met somebody and talked to her, followed her to Seattle, talking to her and her friends about a man, and you saw him, Brad Feld. And we went to Colorado to speak to him. And from there, he introduced us to Lucy Sanders, who was with NC WIT. And backing up, also when we were in DC, we went to AAUW because those are the folks with all the research, right? So we featured them. Everything was truly investigative. So this is how we ended up picking who we interview. They actually picked us in a way, right? They're the ones with the story. They're the ones with the data. They're the ones with the experience.
And I do want to say it was important to us that we interview people who weren't used to being on camera. And that's kind of how my story started to get into it, because we'd interview somebody and just realize, okay, they're more comfortable if they're having a conversation with me, not just staring at a camera kind of deal. So I started sitting in on conversations, and then more and more as we were editing and kind of looking at footage, we realized my story had to actually be in the film, which was really scary for me because still I was in that headspace of what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, and I think who said in the chat about Leah said about imposter syndrome, and yeah, so powerful hearing you, and also in the film too, of like, am I doing something wrong? And the time and energy it must have taken for when y'all were talking about what earrings and should I wear makeup, and like you could have been doing actual work during those times, and draining all that energy from you. So yeah.
It's true.
So I think now we have 10 minutes left. So we're going to open up the conversation to everyone. Dr. Kat, go ahead.
Obviously, there's a lot I could say, but I know we only have 10 minutes. But I think the thing that really hit me over the last couple of years is the intergenerational aspects of this. When I was growing up, I thought that my mother, card carrying Ms. Subscriber, who would wear pantsuits when Ms. Magazine told her to wear pantsuits and put on makeup when they told her it was okay to put on makeup. I thought that was all ridiculous. I didn't need feminism. I had Title IX. I could have any career I wanted. Right. And I see the exact same thing happening with the millennials, and I see the exact same things happening with Gen Z. There is this attitude that this is all past history. And so I think it's really important that this film is made by a mother-daughter partnership and understand some of that intergenerationality.
I think a lot of us on this call know what's going on. So how do we actually bring people into our circle, right? So we have screenings like this. We encourage families to screen the film with their kids. This film really brings up a lot of experiences. And that was another challenge when we were actually editing it, is we knew a lot of people would bring their own personal experience to the topics. So we had to make sure we were at a high level talking about the spectrum of what women experience. We bring this film to communities, to schools, to companies, and we get people talking. And I hope, you all walk away and you go, how can I actually bring people into the circle? And I think that's one of Kathy's questions. And it's about calling people in to the problem when you see it, right? You see a bias, you see, it's all learned behavior. We have to forgive ourselves and go, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Let me tell you how that comes across. Let me tell you, bring that person aside and talk to them. Always assume good intent if you can. And then, right, Devin, if somebody's just a jerk, they're a jerk. Okay, we're not going to be around that. Hey, Leah.
I was just going to add on to a little bit what Dr. Kat said and what somebody else asked about. I know from my experience working with younger people, I think it's important, maybe as an older person, to work with those young people and explain to them or offer them opportunities where they get to experience. Because I know in the robotics team, and some of the young ladies you saw in the video working with their male adult mentors who were much older than them, and maybe not all that much older than them, seeing that those male mentors put a young man into a position where maybe the rules said they were too young or they're too inexperienced, and it should have been one of the young women. And we had an experience like that. And so they get to experience it firsthand. Hey, wait a minute, that's not fair. Those things do happen. And so, however that is, if we just have our young people, go through life, maybe if they don't have jobs, even, whatever, even if it's just flipping burgers at a high schooler, you're going to run into some of those things. You're going to see those things in some kind of an experience. I think experience is a little better teacher than, I could tell them all day, but, as kids, they're going to be like, yeah, your mom, whatever, I don't want to hear you. If you put them in a situation where it's in their face and it's somebody else, it's not their mom that this is happening to them from, then they can experience it or understand it, maybe.
I always have something to say, so thank you. And it looks like we have 2 minutes, so I'll be really quick. First of all, thank you all for this discussion. And for those of you who don't know, I am the chair of NGO CSW, and this is literally what we live for and breathe for and die for, is conversations like this, because it feels like it's never enough. And the fact that we're a global organization and we try to bring voices on policy levels is not lost on me to say, like, how can we even help with policy at governmental level, right? Like just globally. But of course, none of that can happen if we don't start the conversations in our own homes, in our own schools. So like, and I don't have the answers. I'm asking, this is a question and also a plea for everyone to say, how can we keep moving this conversation forward and really bringing it from the bottom up as well as the top bottom, like on all topics, obviously, right? For like this year, we're all discussing climate justice, and last year it was violence against women. This is about equality. We also are involved with something called ILO 190, which is, or something you can Google and find out. It's a policy, it's a declaration that we want governments to sign on for abuse in work, right? What happens to women during work. Yeah. All of that is important, but at the same time, we really need to start from the beginning, like with boys and girls in a family. You know, one of the things I was thinking about is that even though I'm an Armenian born in Lebanon, didn't have as many opportunities as Global North at the beginning. Of course, now I'm in New York and I can do whatever I want. But I was lucky because I had a father who believed in me and gave me a voice early on. So I wanted to bring that personal perspective too on how important that is. And that if each one of us can influence our own circle of friends and family to really encourage that, maybe, I don't know, can we make a change? I mean, there are days where I'm pulling my hair out and saying it's not happening, but I just wanted to add my voice to that and see if anybody had any suggestions on how do we keep empowering and inspiring each other to keep doing this for real change.
This actually aligns with the relay that we've launched. The one thing that we have learned as we filmed this movie is that everybody's journey starts somewhere, some way, and someday. We've learned that a lot of journeys start when they watch our movie. Our movie is positive. Our movie has a tone on purpose to not point fingers at anybody. And when that happens, it allows for that person sitting there watching it who may never have been exposed or had doubts to start thinking and start seeing maybe a nugget in there of themselves. A lot of men, for example, will watch the film, and if they are not aware of the issues that many of us are aware of, they will start to be aware of it. Quite often, people start their journey when they have daughters. They start their journey, as Kat, you said, when you turn in you feel like you're invincible, and then you get into your 30s and you start realizing things aren't as perfect as you thought they would be. But that journey starts somewhere. So what we decided to do, especially during a pandemic, and I have to say launching a movie during a pandemic is not an easy thing to do as well. We decided to offer the movie, this entire experience that you're having right now, for free to all NGOs and activists that are fighting for a gender equal world. They fill out a form. They pretty much tell us exactly how they're going to use the film. But our goal is for these NGOs and activists to use our film as that way of opening up that conversation, opening up that mindset, and moving forward.
Ashley and Lea-Ann, thank you so much. At YLYPs, we are doing a preparation series for the upcoming CSW at the UN. Feel free to check us out.
Thank you all for being here, for giving us your morning or your afternoon or your evening, and very appreciative to see so many familiar faces. It means the world to us that you come and support us, because that's exactly how these conversations keep going. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.